Today's our topic is about disease of esophagus. So this topic is as long as esophagus itself. So we go hurriedly through salient diseases. Details you can see later also. So this is again slide problem. So dysphagia itself, it is due to difficulty in deglutition, and it may be caused by many things like infections, webs, rings, obstructive features, strictures, intrinsic narrowing itself, or webs, rings, benign strictures. So inflammatory conditions like stomatitis, pharyngitis, epiglottitis, and esophagitis due to virus or bacterial fungal regions, and mucocutaneous bullous diseases we'll see later, caustic, chemical, and thermal injury. So all these can lead to dysphagia. So webs and rings, obstructive. So webs and rings may be present congenitally, but symptoms may come later on. Pharyngeal, esophageal, or lower esophageal ring. So pharyngeal pulmonary syndrome we are coming across many times. Esophageal like congenital or inflammatory or lower esophageal Schwarzschild ring will go salient features only. So benign stricture may be also may be there due to peptic ulceration of the esophagus, caustic pill induced, inflammatory due to systemic diseases like Crohn's disease, candidiasis, mucocutaneous lesions, ischemic. So benign tumors, again multiple this surgical causes, extrinsic compression. So any dysphagia should be evaluated in total, not that it is only dysphagia, we give some treatment, PPI and S2 receptor block unfinished. It should be correlated with the age. If not relieved, then should be investigated by properly doing endoscopy and barium meal like swallow examination. So extrinsic compression may be due to cervical spondylitis or vertebral osteophytes, enlarged thyroid gland, Jankus diverticulum, vascular compression, so-called dysphagia luxuria, which is due to aberrant subclavian artery, a posterior mediastinum, anything you can see, this is included in dysphagia. So in and around esophagus, any cause. So motor dysphagia, now inside the esophagus itself. So motor cause, difficulty in initiating the swallowing reflex. So paralysis of tongue itself, oropharyngeal anesthesia, lack of saliva due to Sjogren syndrome, a lesion of sensory components of vagus and glossopharyngeal. So 8th and 9th nerve involvement due to swallow center lesions of the swallowing center. So this was motor. So disorders of pharyngeal and esophageal striated muscles. So muscle weakness, neuromuscular like myasthenia, muscle disorders, when systemic polymyositis and dermatomyositis or myopathies all can lead to dysphagia. So as I told you, this topic is as long as esophagus itself. So anatomically, we'll just remind you about the anatomy. This is a muscular tube which extends 25 centimeters from cricoid cartilage to the cardiac orifice of the stomach. It consists of mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis layer with absent serosal layer. So mucosa is stratified with squamous cells, which transit to columnar epithelium when at the gastroesophageal junction, which is from the stomach itself. So basically it is squamous cell lining, and it will transit to columnar epithelium when it is near the gastroesophageal junction. So muscular layer again divided in two parts, striated which is voluntary in control, and involuntary is smooth muscle in lower third. Upper one third is voluntary, and it is arranged in two fashions, circular. So circular will cause horizontal contraction, by vertical by the longitudinal fibers. So it will help in the peristaltic movement. So this is coordinated movement. Any interruption in coordination due to any reason will lead to dysphagia. So myenteric plexus, which is also known as Orbeck plexus, it is located between the muscle layers. So any deficiency in that, loss of ganglionic cell will lead to dysphagia. A peristaltic swallowing wave propels the food bolus into the stomach. So esophageal disease can be manifested by impaired function or due to pain itself. So functional impairments are swallowing disorders, we already see, excessive gastroesophageal reflux. These are functional impairment, while pain, which is also termed as odynophagia, it can be due to inflammation, infection of the, so simple esophagitis or esophagitis due to infections, bacterial, viral, fungal, all these can lead to odynophagia. And neoplasm and dysmotility. So what are the symptoms of esophageal disease? You all know this. At this stage it will lead to heartburn and regurgitation. There is chest pain. So it is most crucial sometime in the emergency room, whether person coming to us having retrosternal pain chest, it is simply due to GERD or due to some cardiac disease, because cardiac result is going to be catastrophic if we don't diagnose and treat accordingly. So we have to rule out it, whether it is cardiac or non-cardiac. So chest pain and dysphagia, odynophagia is there or not, globus sensation is there or not. Sometime even if we think it is totally due to GERD, benign from our side, that is not going to lead to death of the patient. Still patient may sometime land up into critical situation. So our diagnosis fails sometimes. So we have to decide then and there whether patients to be given further evaluation or not. So heartburn is another symptom that is also termed as pyrosis. So discomfort or burning sensation which is behind the sternum, and it is from epigastrium upward and may radiate towards the neck. So heartburn is an intermittent symptom which may arise after eating and during exercise and while lying recumbent. So all these factors lead to regurgitation, and it will be relieved by drinking water or antacid. So regurgitation, what is the definition? It is effortless return of the food and fluid into the pharynx without nausea or anything. So suddenly patient sitting or lying suddenly and he will feel something is coming to his mouth, but he has not felt nausea. He is not feeling vomiting. Sudden effortless return of the food or fluid, and it contains sour or burning fluid in the throat and undigested food particles. Sometimes bending and belching or any maneuver which increase the intra-abdominal pressure will provoke the regurgitation. So symptoms, again vomiting, pain chest as I described you. So it may be radiating to mid-back, arm, or sometime to jaw. So esophageal distension or even chemostimulation due to acid, it may lead to dysphagia. GERD, this will often perceived as a chest pain. So gastroesophageal reflux is the most common cause of the esophageal chest pain, and it is often described as feeling of food stinging or even lodging in the chest. Important distinction is to be made whether it is due to only solid food or liquids as well. So because solid food alone means this organic cause, organic obstruction is there. If it is non-organic or non-obstructive cause, it will be functional, labeled as functional, because we don't find any obstructive cause, and it will be present to both liquids and solids. So खाली solids से उसको दिक्कत हो रही है, that means it is something obstructive feature there. So important distinction between solid food versus liquid and solid. Episodic or constant. Episodic, whether that means कभी कभी होता है, कभी नहीं होता खाने टाइम पे. Whether it is progressive or static. अब 6 महीने से प्रॉब्लम चल रही है, then you are more relaxed कि साहब तो maybe due to GERD only. If it is progressing since last 1 month, साहब पहले थोड़ा थोड़ा और था, बिल्कुल खाना खा ही नहीं पाते, that it is should strike to use, there may be some neoplasm. It may lead to variety of adjustment in his behavior, that is behavioral accommodation. Either he'll eat slowly, or he'll altogether leave the food aversion, or he'll avoid the hard solid food because solid food से उसको ज़्यादा दिक्कत हो रही है, or he may drink large amount of fluid along with the meals to relieve his symptoms. So it may be dysphagia both liquids and solids. If it is there, then it is motility disorder such as achalasia. If it is solid food dysphagia, it is more suggestive of mechanical obstruction like stricture, ring or tumor. So odynophagia is pain caused by the or exacerbated by swallowing, and is common with pill or infectious esophagitis. So sometimes there is globus sensation. Patient says something is sticking in this esophagus behind the sternum. He is feeling globus sensation, or sometimes we label as globus hystericus, or sometimes female says, most of the common in female. So they will say मुझे छाती पे खाने के बाद में चपक रहा है यहाँ पे. तो every time she is complaining, we are more sure it is hysterical part. She has some other psychological problem, and that's why this has been termed as globus hystericus. So it is sometimes relieved by the act of swallowing. It is felt irrespective of swallowing. खाना खा लिया 2 घंटे पहले, अभी तक साहब अटक रहा है यहाँ, एंड उसको को थोड़ा थूक गट को, when she swallowed it will, हाँ साहब ठीक है थोड़ा सा. That means it is globus hystericus. So it occurs in anxiety state and obsessive compulsive disorder, so called OCD. Water breath, again like GERD only. So excessive salivation which is resulting from vagal reflex, and it is triggered by acidification of the esophageal mucosa. So patient will complain of unpleasant sensation of the mouth and is rapidly filling with salty thin fluid concomitant with heart. So structural disorders, hiatus hernia is quite common. Mostly you will read in your surgical chapters. So it is herniation of the viscera like stomach or esophagus itself into the hiatus through the diaphragm. So 4 types of hiatus hernia are distinguished. Type 1 is sliding hiatal hernia. 95% cases due to sliding hiatus hernia, because the hiatus is become very large, so easily slides up and down. So gastroesophageal junction and gastric cardia, it will translocate cephalate, that means upward, and it is due to weakening of the phrenoesophageal ligament. So easily sliding is there, and again same causes, increase intra-abdominal pressure. Type 2, 3, 4, these are termed as paraesophageal, sometimes rolling hernia. So type 4 herniation is part other than stomach. When it herniates, it is labeled as type 4. So colon sigmoid transfer, so it is going there, that means it is any other part than stomach. If it herniates, it is type 4. Type 2 and 3 are paraesophageal hernias, where gastric fundus also herniate. Type 2 is there when G junction remain fixed. It is type 2. When it is combined sliding and rolling paraesophageal, it is termed as third. So this is pictorial explanation for type 1, 2, 3, 4. So viscera other than stomach herniate is labeled as a type 4. So viscera other than stomach, surgical repair is advocated in hiatus hernia. Rings and webs. So Schartzky ring, it is thin, fixed, circumferential membrane like narrowing at the GE junction. So lower part of the esophagus, it is found there, and it causes constriction of the narrowing of the lumen at one place. So less than 13 mm. So diagnostic it will cause symptoms then. If it is lumen is more than 30 mm, probably he or she may not have much symptoms. So it is associated with episodic solid food dysphagia because there is organic obstruction. So it will be more obstruction to the solid food. And diagnosis is by barium radiography, and treatment again dilators and prevention by PPI. So you can see lower esophageal ring, which is termed as Schartzky ring. This is explanation, and this is by what we find on the endoscopy. We have already described Plummer-Vinson syndrome. It is combination of symptomatic proximal esophageal web. So upper part of the esophagus, some web, and it is in mostly middle-aged women who are iron deficient. So any middle-aged lady, say above 40, she is complaining of dysphagia, she is iron deficiency, anemia. So if there is some web, it is we term it as a Plummer-Vinson syndrome. So diverticular not for you. Esophageal cancer you see in your surgical site. So squamous cell carcinoma is there, progressive to solid food dysphagia will be there, associated with weight loss. Odynophagia, that means painful deglutition, and iron deficiency anemia, because malignancy causes oozing of blood. So if any malignancy there, it will be raw surface most of the time, so it will be cause slow oozing of the blood. When these symptoms are available in the present in the elderly persons more than 50 for your definition, so if it is come with the weight loss, odynophagia, dysphagia, and iron deficiency anemia, suspect of some malignancy. There may be also hoarseness of voice and it should be diagnosed by upper GI endoscopy, and biopsy should be taken, and CT and PET CT nowadays available here also. They are very good to diagnose, to support the diagnosis. Treatment, of course, surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy. So benign esophageal tumors not for you, for it's all in the surgical side. Congenital anomalies, esophageal atria, again you will come encounter in the pediatric side. So dysphagia, other causes. So I already told you dysphagia lusoria, which is esophagus is compressed by aberrant right subclavian artery. And common esophageal motility disorders are achalasia, diffuse esophageal spasm, GERD. So all these will cause dysphagia, chest pain and heartburn, and sometimes it may be secondary, not due to achalasia. This may be secondary due to pseudoachalasia, Chagas disease, scleroderma, and disease affecting the pharynx and proximal esophagus. So achalasia, it is a rare disease. 1 लाख में से 1 लोग आदमी affect होता है. So it is a rare disease because of loss of ganglionic cell within the esophageal mesenteric plexus, which is due to antibody mediated, and age is usually adult age only, 25 to 60. Disease involve both the excitatory and inhibitory ganglionic neurons. So not only contraction part but relaxation part also may be involved. Functionally, inhibitory neurons mediate the LES relaxation. So inhibitory part, relaxation of lower esophageal sphincter. So dysphagia, initially it is intermittent and it develops slowly. It is both, because there is no organic obstruction. It is to both solid and liquid food, and there may be associated with regurgitation, chest pain, weight loss. Long standing, it will cause progressive dilatation of the esophagus and sometimes sigmoid deformity of esophagus. So esophagus may be dilated. With hypertrophy of LES, lower esophageal sphincter may be found hypertrophic. So patient with advanced achalasia, they may be at risk of bronchitis, pneumonia, lung abscess. So because there is aspiration, whatever there is reflux of the fluid, it may go into the lungs. So it may irritate there. It may cause bronchitis, pneumonia, lung abscess. So chest pain is very frequent in achalasia. There is squeezing and pressure like retrosternal pain, as well as there is heartburn, which is difficult to diagnose sometimes from the cardiac chest pain. So DD is diffuse esophageal spasm, tumor infiltration, pseudoachalasia, which is due to paraneoplastic syndrome. Chagas disease, I already told you, which is due to trypanosoma cruzi. So achalasia is to be diagnosed by barium swallow X-ray or esophageal manometry. Nowadays video endoscopy. We'll take the video recording of the swallow and try to diagnose it. So endoscopy to exclude the pseudoachalasia. Dilated esophagus may be there. So post cardiac there will be air fluid level. With the barium swallow there may be air fluid level and tapering at LES. So giving it a beak-like appearance, bird beak sign. Sometime it may enlarge to configuration of sigmoid. So it is sigmoid esophagus. These are the pics. So bird beak sign, at the lower end you see there's red tail sign like this thing, but when it is distorted tail, then it is malignant. Otherwise it is achalasia simple, and sigmoid esophagus you will see. So treatment, usually no treatment is curative. We have to direct our therapy to reduce LES pressure. So lower esophageal sphincter pressure should be relieved either by dilatation or surgery, surgical myotomy by open surgery, or through endoscopic peroral endoscopic myotomy, sometime with the pharmacological therapy. So nitrates and calcium channel blocker, sometime injections of botulinum toxin and sildenafil-like drugs. They will decrease the LES pressure. So diffuse esophageal spasm. These are all things very rare, but sometimes you come across some atypical pain chest patient, and if you diagnose that, credit will go to you, and you will have a roaring practice if you are not going to non-clinical branch. So DES is manifested by episodes of dysphagia and chest pain due to abnormal contraction, and there is normal deglutitive LES relaxation. This LES is normally relaxing, but spasm is there, so distorted contractions are there. So radiographically, DES has a tertiary contraction or corkscrew esophagus. You can see the pic on the right side with barium swallow, totally disorganized contraction, and with barium it will be giving corkscrew. Have you seen corkscrew? Champagne का bottle खोलते हैं. So diagnosed by manometry. So not all swallow will give this one. At least 20% of all swallows, it will be accompanied by normal peristalsis. So rest 80% will be giving defective one. So deficiency of nitric oxide is said to be the root cause of this DES. So differential diagnosis, again esophageal chest pain, which is non-exertional, to diagnose it from the cardiac chest pain. So pain comes without exertion. It is rather with the eating sometimes. So prolonged, it will be prolonged. Cardiac chest pain, when you are exerting, there is pain. If you relax and you take rest, it will go. It will interrupt sleep. Patient sleeping, his sleep is interrupted. It is usually meal related. जिस दिन खाना उसने बहुत heavy खाया, he has gone to some conference, he has gone to some party, and he has taken Saturday, he is enjoying Saturday night, and when he is sleeping, he will have pain. So it is relieved by antacid. Bottle thai antacid की resident ने पी ली, सब ठीक हो गया, सब ठीक, सुबह ड्यूटी पे आ गया. Accompanied by heartburns and dysphagia and regurgitation. So both pain chest and dysphagia are also characteristic of peptic and infectious esophagitis. So after excluding peptic and infectious esophagitis, we should suspect DES, that diffuse esophageal spasm. So barium meal examination is, and manometry is diagnostic for them. Treatment again same, nitrate and calcium channel blocker, botulinum toxic and anxiolytics, sometimes same surgical treatment. GERD. So most common symptom sometimes we see in our medical OPD is GERD, condition of gastroesophageal reflux disease, when esophageal mucosa is exposed to gastroduodenal contents for prolonged periods. So multiple events of reflux, they will cause GERD symptoms. So it may be symptoms of esophagus itself and extraesophageal manifestation. So almost 15% of adults at some time of their life, at some point of life, they'll have GERD symptoms. So causes again very simple one: abnormality of the LES, hiatus hernia, delayed esophageal clearance of the gastric contents, defective gastric emptying, increased intra-abdominal pressure, dietary and environmental factors, and patient factors. So this in simple: obesity, dietary factor, he is taking some heavy meal, defective esophageal clearance is there, abnormal esophageal sphincter relaxation, reduced tone, inappropriate relaxation or hiatus hernia, there is delayed gastric emptying and increased intra-abdominal pressure. So pathophysiology again esophagitis, there may be ulcers and erosions. So three dominant mechanisms are there. Either there is transient LES relaxation or LES tone is low, that is termed as hypotension of LES, sometimes anatomic distortion, the like hiatus hernia. So factors which exacerbate the reflux, again same only. So bile may be there. So bile is very dangerous. When comes fluid, he regurgitates out, थोड़ा सा vomit कर देता है, मुंह में आ जाता है, he spit out this bile. So bile is little problematic because it can traverse the cell membrane and impart severe cellular injury. and it act as a cofactor in pathogenesis of Barrett's metaplasia, Barrett's esophagus. So the transition of cells is rather squamous again, so it is causing problem. So it may also lead to adenocarcinoma later on. So typical symptoms same only, heartburn and regurgitation. This dysphagia and chest pain, again same symptoms. Chronic reflux lead to development of peptic stricture or adenocarcinoma. There may be extra esophageal symptom. Now this is to be very carefully remembered, these features. Sometimes patient comes to us OPD, सब खांसी चल रही, खांसी, एक्सरे कराए, आपने थ्रोट देखा, नथिंग, नो फीवर, TLC इज नॉर्मल, डेली इसके हो रहा है साहब, महीने में 15 दिन तो खांसी चलती, उठता हूँ तो देयर इज इरिटेशन थ्रोट में, क्रोनिक कफ रहता है, एंड यू डोंट नो एनीथिंग, CT स्कैन करा लिया आपने, कुछ तो निकल आएगा, लेकिन नथिंग, देन यू शुड सस्पेक्ट अबाउट दिस थिंग. इट मे बी GERD simply because of reflux of acidic fluid into the mouth, and it goes back to the sometime trachea, and it will cause inflammation there. So every morning he gets up, there is cough. This may be due to GERD only. Sometime आपका chronic cough चल रही है, 3 months, 6 months, you are troubled. X-ray करवा लिया, CBC repeated करा ली, ECG करा लिया, कुछ नहीं है, nothing. You can suspect GERD. So any chronic cough, laryngitis, asthma, dental erosions without any cause, suspect GERD. So it may be due to pharyngitis, chronic bronchitis, or pulmonary fibrosis. Differential diagnosis is esophagitis, whether infectious, pill or eosinophilic, peptic ulcer disease, dyspepsia, biliary colic, sometimes coronary artery disease, esophageal motility disorder, all have to be ruled out, then only GERD to be considered. So it may cause bleeding and stricture. Sometimes there may be Barrett's metaplasia, which may go into adenocarcinoma. So GERD complication is esophageal stricture, dysphagia to solids, and treatment is again endoscopic balloon dilatation. Therapy, not only dilatation but also lifestyle modification. So he should avoid the refluxogenic food which reduce the ileus pressure. So chocolate, sometimes we say chocolate is causing relaxation of the ileus. So if night time you take heavy chocolates, much quantity, so you may suffer GERD. So include fatty foods, alcohol, peppermint, coffee, tea, all these can cause GERD. So avoidance of acidic food. Tomato की पेस्ट में आप मोमोज खा रहे हो और blah blah blah, tomato. So all these are causing. So there are inherently irritating citrus food, tomato based foods. Avoidance of behavior to minimize reflux and heartburn. So आप आए खाना लेट, खाना खा के आए 12 बजे, सीधा बिस्तर में घुस गए. अगेन देयर इज नो टाइम फॉर डाइजेशन इन स्टोमक, एंड व्हेन यू स्लीप 2 बजे उठ के बैठ गए कि भारीपन लग रहा है, you will try to vomit out sometime, but still heartburn is there. So you have to change these behaviors, lifestyle modification, and weight reduction is very important. So GERD therapy, again proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers and surgical alternatives. So fundoplication, Nissen fundoplication is good for such patient if it is not getting okay with medicines and lifestyle modification. So eosinophilic, infectious esophagitis. Sometimes we are seeing patient in ICU. Patient develop candidiasis, some infection, viral infections, herpes simplex developed inside the esophagus. So all infections can lead to odynophagia. Patient is okay, recovering. Suddenly one morning is सब निकलने में दिक्कत हो रही है. Okay, ENT referral. They'll our endoscopy. Then you'll find there is multiple ulcers or herpes. There is some candidiasis. So again, same symptom will come. Odynophagia, Candida esophagitis. So Candida albicans is most common. And oral fluconazole or itraconazole is a therapy of choice. Herpetic esophagitis, treatment is acyclovir. CMV, mostly in transplant patients, sometimes it causes. So you must remember. Pill esophagitis, so wrong pill taking technique, particularly in female again. So they'll try to vomit out rather. They are after taking pill. Sometimes boys also. Wrong taking, they have notion भाई ये pill तो मेरे को पता नहीं कहाँ जाएगी. So they'll take it wrong technique and they are in soup. So pill esophagitis. So typical symptoms same only. You have to take history and is again go for the upper GI endoscopy. Mallory Weiss tear. Sometime in pregnant lady we are finding retching, history of retching, and they'll vomit out some amount of blood. We suspect Mallory Weiss tear has happened. So tear at the gastroesophageal junction causes again vomiting and retching. Sometimes vigorous coughing also will do it. So therapy is by clipping. So endoscopically clipping, and sometimes embolization if it is very severe one. Otherwise, local epinephrine therapy again is very less commonly employed. Otherwise, symptomatic treatment only. So radiation also can lead to esophagitis. Sometimes alkali ingestion due to sometimes due to suicidal intention, sometimes accidental ingestion. It will lead to. Sometimes why we don't understand. Sometimes why people keep bottle of alkali near bedside? No use. But they are keeping, and in night they will get thirsty, and so sometimes foreign body infection, systemic disease. So if patient is suffering from some systemic disease and is complaining of gut-like symptom, you have to suspect it may be due to these diseases, autoimmune disorders, scleroderma, collagen vascular disease. So it is alleviated by eating in upright position and using liquid to facilitate solid emptying. It will help them to relieve of symptoms. So dermatological symptoms there, patient may go into GERD or dysphagia. So glucocorticoid treatment and dilatation sometimes